Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Five Idiots Talking Toys, our Sunday night podcast where we talk about toys. We're five idiots, and we get together and talk about toys. Let's go ahead and bring the guys in. See who's here. Whoops, not that way. Let's do this way.
Ooh.
That looks much better. Yeah, let's do that.
It's always the three of us, man. We are.
I know. There's
we're
Brandon,
the Lone Rangers.
There's Chris, and we're still missing
Three Stooges.
Charles, and there's five of us, right?
Yeah,
we're now the three
Me,
idiots talking toys.
Brandon, there's Chris. Charles is not here. That's four.
Oh, the fifth person is Adam.
Adam. Oh yeah, Adam Chitwood.
Adam Chitwood. Yeah.
No, we're taking.
Let's welcome the newest member to the Five Idiots Talking Toys, Adam Chitwood. We're excited to have him here, guys.
Yeah.
Let's bring him in.
I'm back. What's up, fellas?
Welcome back, buddy.
Shane, welcome back, Shane.
Sorry, Adam. You're gonna have to wait for the next opening. Although Charles isn't here, maybe that opening is now.
I know.
Yeah.
We need to actually have Adam back on the show pronto.
We do.
Yeah, he's fun. He's fun to talk to.
Yeah.
So everybody who watches our channel regularly just saw our Wednesday episode, right? Our wins and whiffs. So that was my first foray back onto the channel in a couple of weeks. So for those who are watching YouTube, welcome back. For those who are listening on their favorite podcast app, this might be the first time you're hearing me in a couple of weeks. So thanks for joining us. We're here for our Sunday night full podcast episode. Head over to 5idiotstalkingtoys.com. Check out all of our links, our socials. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And you can also check out our merch shop there. And also come and hang out with us in Rogue 5 Toys. You can find us at rogue5toys.com. Chris is constantly selling, and Brandon is sometimes selling, and John just did a live sale a couple of weeks ago. So we're getting out of the summer blues, right, guys?
Getting out of the summertime blues.
Yeah.
I definitely am doing a live sale very soon, so that's coming. I was organizing stuff today.
Yeah, good deal.
I'm telling you, once the summer dies down and it starts to get a little cooler out, you're going to see a lot more people being more active on the groups.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
we saw the same thing last summer, but it's worth pointing out again, like you guys did, because there's new collectors and there's people who, you just don't remember what last summer was like.
Correct. There's a lot of new collectors from last year, so they see it slowing down and they're panicking, and they don't realize that this is the same roller coaster every year, every summer.
It makes sense because the economy is, in the dumper right now in some aspects. So it makes sense. But I'm in marketing. And advertising, and it's not the same thing as collecting, but it is in the sense of summer. 100% summer is the slowest quarter of the year for everything I advertise for, and August is by far the slowest month of the year. I take my vacations in August because my office I can get coverage for the slower level of work that I usually do in August. So yeah, it's just normal for this time of year. All right, boys. So we're here. Say that again.
It's like construction on the other hand.
Yeah.
We are busy.
That's good though. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So every industry's got its cycles.
Yeah.
So we're here today for the topic of sale etiquette. Collecting etiquette amongst different sales formats in different places, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
we kind of touched on this briefly in a prior episode, so we want to actually hit this one topic fully on right now.
Yeah.
So what's the problem with sale etiquette? What are we going to cover tonight?
Yeah. I think the one thing we need to point out, we're not being preachy, right, about this.
No.
This is just stuff that we've experienced in live sales or on different pages, stuff that we've seen, stuff that has been directed toward us, experiences that we've had during our own live sales. So just pointers to the people who are on the other side of the camera. You see one thing. You see the figure up for sale, you don't see what goes on behind the scenes, and I think that's important to understand too. But yeah, we're not we're just
live auctions. It's a lot of work. People don't realize how much work goes into doing a live auction. And
right.
listen, I've been selling for how many years, and I've never done one.
Yeah, I was going to say, how does Chris know?
Because I see
a lot of them.
But you know us, yeah.
I see what you guys do, and it's like you have to pay attention to 7 different things at one time, and remember who's buying what, writing it down, moving on to the next item, follow the bids, making sure that the timer is on, making sure that there's no delay in people's bids, and there's a lot of things to keep track. And when you got these people just heckling in the background who are drunk, it kind of throws you off.
So let's go with this. Let's talk about
those people.
Let's talk about the different formats and the things that we want to speak about on them. Let's go ahead and start with live sales because that's what Chris is talking about. And like John said, we're not looking to be preachy. You go about conducting yourself and go ahead and act how you want to act, but just understand that there's some ways that you might respond to something or act which you're going to catch the bad feelings from someone who's trying to run it or maybe the admins, and if it's a Facebook group. Just understand there's some things you might not even know that you're doing that are causing an issue to somebody. So that's what we're going to just kind of walk through tonight. Live auctions. So Chris, you do sell a lot. You do get to points, I was just thinking this as you were talking, where you have a table in your house that's full of things that are spoken for. And then you have a day where you've got to sit there and it's shipping day,
Yep.
So that's a big part. That's the end part of live sales. That's the last part. So we can work backwards there, but that's the worst part. Brandon's done live sales. John, he's like the godfather of live sales in this group. And you guys know what that shipping day is like after you've gotten all your getting paid, collecting all the money. That's the best part. And then the worst part is shipping it all out. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely. Shane waits, 2 weeks to ship out. So he takes his time with it. I know Chris sends out the next day.
Next day, always. Whenever I list something and they buy it, they get tracking that night, and I ship it out the next day. But you have to understand, this is my job, so this is what I do. I do this 24/7. So I don't have a full-time job anymore.
It takes a live sale is anywhere from, on average, 3 to 5 hours. Let's say, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of that live sale, you got to take a break. You got to figure out, tally everything up, wait for payments to come through, put everything in boxes. Then you get the labels and the addresses and all that. Not to mention, if you're doing it correctly, you're wrapping every item up with bubble wrap. You're putting the little weapons in the little baggies, taping everything up, ensuring that all the boxes have enough room and all that kind of stuff. You're building the box, all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot of time. So, and I think people don't realize it until they do a live sale. And every single person that's done a live sale is like, wow, that is a lot of work. No, don't get me wrong. Live sales are fun. They're fun to interact with people. I think the weirdest part about a live sale is actually sitting there talking to yourself.
That's good for Shane.
And answering your questions, answering the questions that are on there and talking with people. But, those are fun. But at the end, Shane's right. It does take a lot of time. And, and people that don't do live sales, I don't think they understand the amount of time and effort that goes into that. And I think a lot of people get pissed off when their bids aren't coming through and they're not noticing what's going on. For example, I was on a certain group and I was trying to put some bids in for some items, and I was unable to do it because they weren't seeing my bids. But I've been a group member for a while, and for some reason, the auction I could not put a bid in. So I was getting a little frustrated there. But I knew exactly that it wasn't the auctioneer's fault, the guy that was running the auction. It's Facebook's fault for not
recognizing it. Yeah,
and people's bids show up late or after the time, and there's lag issues, and people just don't understand. So that there's lag, there's Facebook issues, there's all sorts of stuff going on. I don't think anybody's being facetious here when they run their live auctions. I don't think people are trying to take top dollar here or anything like that. And the way the auction is run is by the rules that was stated by the person holding the auction. So I think people just need to understand that when they're in the auction.
Yeah, and there's nothing we can do about somebody else's internet connection. If they've got a lag, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. That's one thing that I've seen that really drives people bonkers is that there's a lag. I'm sorry. I mean, I wish I could do something, but I've got fiber optic internet, and
they have that in Georgia.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. We just got running water last year.
Oh my god!
Now we have fiber optic internet.
He had fiber optic before running water.
He's like, hey guys, we just got this new food in town. It's called pizza.
It's Italian.
Again, I haven't done live auctions, but there's actually one thing that I see people do all the time, and it just it drives me bonkers when I see people do that. So someone will be bidding on an item, and I'm not even saying necessarily one of your live auctions, but they'll win the item, and then within 5 minutes they say, "Hey, I just PM'd you. Can I get a total? What's your PayPal?" In my head, I'm like, the guy is in the middle of doing a live sale. He's not going to stop and PM you and give you info. So crazy. Why do people think that that's what's happening?
Hey, Chris. Sorry, I know you're not done with your thought yet, but how much is shipping to my location? Can you tell me how much shipping is? I know you're still trying to, talk about this item.
Yeah, and once you've done a number of these sales, once you kind of done 4, 5 plus, you start to learn what things you just need to say. And if you do a longer live sale, you have to kind of remind yourself every hour or so to repeat these things. Like, this is my shipping, deal. Please, if you're bidding and you feel like I don't see it, different little tricks that you can do if you're running it on Facebook. For the shipping part that you spoke about, I stopped stressing on it because if I was doing live sales really regularly and I was doing 90-minute live sales, that stuff would be out the next day. It would be 48 hours tops. But you guys know I go on at 7, 8 o'clock and I finish at 2 a.m. a lot of times. I've done 7-hour sales. It takes a day and a half at least to collect the money for that stuff. And I'll start packing up as I collect, but I do like a 3 or 4 day window. I do the sale, I get off and I just hit the pillow. And then the next day I start sending out invoices. And then within 48 hours, I got the money. And then I send out like half the stuff one day and half the stuff the next day as I box it up. And you listen, I don't want to sound rude, but I don't care if that doesn't if that's a problem, then let me know and I'll work on getting it out sooner. But these are 40-year-old toys. You've been waiting 40 years for this. What's one extra day? You're going to get it. I'll pack it really nice, but no, nobody's ever had a problem with that part, but there's a lot that goes into it. Let's go back to the beginning. Advertising your sale, tagging people when it starts, laying out the rules, having the lighting set up. And I'm not complaining. It's a lot of fun. And just like you guys joked about, what it first attracted me to it is that I'd be able to talk for however many hours I want to be on.
Shane's auctions give me like a stroke. I'm like on there with all the flashing lights and the thing, and I'm like getting epilepsy over here. What I'm like?
Well, that's before I start. That's try to get people to click on the video, but. I started those before we had a show, so that was my way of having a show, right?
Well, I gotta tell you, live auctions has always been around since I've been on Facebook, but they definitely got very big and popular during COVID, and I think it's something that everyone actually needed. I think people needed those live auctions, so it was really good for the people that actually were doing them, because people who were stuck at home, we looked forward to these live auctions. Like, people needed this stuff to just kind of break away.
It was a way to have a show to watch that was specifically about something you were passionate about. It was a way to communicate. Yeah.
It was a really good thing for most people.
So this is the other side of the coin. Here is auction etiquette from the auctioneer standpoint. So from the one that is holding the auction. Some things that I've seen, are, people getting a little aggravated during the auction, stuff not selling for what it should be, as it should be, or, looking up quotes of previously sold items on eBay or stuff like that. I've seen that come across as well. And, hold the auction the way you want, but I don't think that really, helps out all the viewers that are on the auction that are sitting there trying to, pay money for those items. And you start throwing out eBay sold listings on there because, who knows how accurate those are and if there's shill bidding going on or whatnot with eBay sold listings. So,
yeah, and I think it berates the people who are bidding too. And it's kind of like a verbal spanking, and that's just a big turnoff. If you've got a figure that you got 12 people watching, and you set a figure up there, and you think it's going to fetch $100, and it only fetches 40, that's on you.
Yeah, if you don't put a reserve on it, then it's on you. That's it.
If you don't put a reserve on it, then it's on you. And that's one thing I've started doing. I started doing with this last live auction. So I had reserves. This is what I want I had silent reserves. This is what I want for this item. If it doesn't reach that, if it comes within $5 or so, yeah. But if it doesn't reach what I want, the bottom dollar for that item, I just pull it, no sale. And
that doesn't mean that you're saying, top dollar, or I know that one of these sold for $200, so my reserve is $200.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
You might be setting it at 80% of what you think it should sell for, but you want to get that minimum to make sure you're not losing money. That's all.
Right.
You do a live auction, you're taking a risk of putting that item up, and maybe you don't get exactly what you wanted. But if you set a reserve for, to make a few bucks at least, then you're safe.
I've broken even on plenty of auctions, and I'm okay with that because, I'm getting the same money I put into it, and I'm providing, a figure for somebody else to get that they don't have. So there's nothing wrong with breaking even on an auction. There's nothing wrong with making money on an auction, but, some people don't want to take a bath on certain items, but, don't rub it in people's faces that, you're not getting the prices you need. Set a silent reserve. It doesn't hit the reserve. Move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And also, don't bid with money that you don't have. So if you're going to claim items, have money to pay for them.
Yeah.
And that goes for any format. We're going to talk about a couple other formats, but
yeah, we're going to go across each format one by one and break them down.
You're going to purchase an item in one way or another. Don't make the buyer wait 6 days to get paid. If you have to move some money around or something, and you contact the seller and you say, "Hey, I'm going to have you paid in 24 hours." No problem. That's actually my rules. Like 24 hours after I send you the invoice, which is a lot of times like a day later, half a day or a day later. Then
good place to discuss that with the buyer is during a claim sale on a group page, or when you're listing the rules before the claim sale. Like, hey, PM me beforehand if there's something that you want, and you want to work out a payment plan. That's a good time to do it. It's usually before a claim sale, or if you're doing a live sale as well, PM the person beforehand and like, hey, do you accept payment plans? Whatever, can we go over some terms before I start bidding and all that kind of stuff? So that way the auction person knows. But let's kick it over to what else do we see now with claim sales? What are the etiquette points that you guys see for claim sales?
For a regular claim sale?
Yeah.
Well, regular claim sale. Yeah, regular claim sale. That's right up my alley. That's my favorite format to use. I'll have everything listed. I'll have it all written down beforehand, so I'm able to just slap it up whenever I want throughout the day, and you can just sit back and you wait to see what if the item is claimed. So for me, it's always the easiest.
Yeah, it's also known as the antisocial sale. So sorry, getting back on track here.
Well, it's pretty cut and dry, right? A claim sale is the most cut and dry.
Yeah, you post it up. Either it sells or it doesn't sell.
Right.
Yeah.
And you list the rules beforehand. You list the shipping beforehand. There's usually no questions. that I know of. Sometimes you get PMs like, "Hey, can I combine this and this, or would you take this?" Offers and all that kind of stuff. I see that as well.
So with a claim sale, when I put up an item, I don't ever do like, let's just say $1,500 or best offer. I don't believe in that. I just put $1,500. If you're already putting best offer, that means you're already willing to accept less. Mm-hmm. So I just put the item or the price that I want. If someone PMs me and says, "Hey, can I get a better deal?" and it's like 5 minutes after I listed, you have to know that the answer is going to be no. Pretty much, I usually wait at least 24 hours after I list an item to even think if I would lower the price. Because most of the time, I think I price everything fairly. I'm usually at market or below. I'm never really over market. So I'm not going to accept less when there's, I don't know, how many other pages that you can go list an item on. Because this is just the one page we're listing. You can still list it on other pages and still get the price that you want.
Right, but you're going to reach a different audience. Like you haven't reached your total audience yet.
Exactly.
On your first
exactly.
Post. Right.
So, for me, I just don't like when someone PMs me literally 5 minutes after I list an item and says, "Hey, would you take?" And it's like $300 less. And I'm just like,
yeah, it's your own. It's your own prerogative whether you want to list or best offer on there. So
yeah.
So I'm going to come from the flip side because I don't do claim sales often. I will post stuff occasionally on Rogue 5 Toys at a claim price.
Mostly baking accessories. And
he's so hung up on that apron.
He loves the apron.
You sold an apron on the sales group.
It was a stormtrooper, a brand new stormtrooper. If I knew that he was so hung up on it, I would have mailed it right to his house. I would have sent it right to him.
And I would have put that on our Twitter page. Me just wearing that and nothing else.
See, that would have been so worth it. I wish I could buy it back. I got to go find that guy. I'm
not after he's worn it.
Let's stay on topic, guys.
I'm going to come from the other angle as the buyer because I'm involved in claim sales more as a buyer than I am as a seller because I really enjoy the live sale, so I kind of hold on to my stuff to do that. But as a buyer, the number one thing that bothers me is when I get wind of or get a hint that there was some sort of a PM, a private message to the seller, and something is happening behind the scenes privately off the post when, a potential buyer is either asking a question or trying to claim it on the post. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'll claim this. And all of a sudden the seller comes back. "Oh, I'm sorry. It was sold through private message." That sends me through the roof. Like that's not the way that a claim sale works. And I understand everybody can do it the way they want to do it, but generally speaking, that's not what a claim sale is. A claim sale is listed with a price, and if you're the first person, and this happens to our wives and stuff when they're on different local groups in Facebook and they're trying to buy something for the kids locally, or whatever. Like there's local groups too. There's all this battling that goes on that I've heard of where somebody tries to claim something and then they're fighting over, "No, I was first. No, I was first." The same thing happens in Star Wars. Somebody posts. If they're first, they should be getting that item.
Claim sale goes, and this is my rules. The person who writes the word claim first. That's it. If you ask me questions, if you tell me through PM, "Hey, I'm interested, but until the word claim is written in the post, that's the person I'm going with." The only exception I ever have is if the person is in Facebook jail, and it happens more than enough times now that people are blocked for 24 or 48 hours. And for whatever reason, they can see the listing, but they can't comment, but they will PM me and say, "Hey man, I want that. Can I claim? But I'm blocked." No problem. Like,
and then you'll claim it for them.
I claim it for them. Like that, to me, that's a legit claim. But when I always see like a claim sale and then you go claim and then a guy goes, "No, sorry, man, it was claimed already. No one wrote the word claim."
Yeah. And you know what's another flavor of that, of what I just described, is if you cross post without mentioning that you cross posted it in multiple groups, and then they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was just claimed in another group." Yeah. It's like, that messes you up. That pisses you off. But if you ever see a claim sale and you see claim, backup claim, third claim, fourth claim, LOL, like if something happens where those first or second people pass on it somehow, somebody's putting their claim in, they're pulling their ticket at the deli counter to be next.
Yeah.
if you see that happening, that's a proper claim sale. Like you know that
Correct.
third person is not going to get it, but they're claiming it in order, knowing that it's the first come first serve.
For the most part, when it comes to claim sales and it's people that have been on for a little bit, a while, whatever, there's usually never a problem. The only time there's ever a problem is when it's a new buyer or a new seller and he just doesn't know the rules or the proper etiquette of how a claim sale works.
So let me ask this question to the group, to the four of you, not the, I'm sorry, three of you, Charles. To the three of you, let me ask this question, because I think this can go a couple different ways, but it does irk me at face value. Claim pending PM. What's the deal with that?
Claim pending question. Claim pending more picks.
So the problem
I hate it.
I hate it. The problem I have with that is that you can just write the word claim pending something on every single item and just hold everybody up for no damn reason. And it's usually like, I had a guy do this lately for a land speeder, right? So I put land speeder, $50 plus shipping. He wrote claim pending shipping. So he PM'd me and I said, it's probably going to be $8 to $10. He goes, which one is it? And my response goes, whether it's $8 or $10, is that going to make or break you? And he said, yes. And I said, well,
but you probably shouldn't be claiming.
So you should have said 10.
by the time I went back on, thankfully somebody claimed it, and then I went with that guy.
And that's the thing you got to remember too, as a buyer, you on these claim sales, if it's a sought after item, don't jerk around and ask questions. You know, you either want it or you don't. Because I've had people PM me and ask me questions about the item and would I do less or would I do? I'm like, you better claim it if you want it. I mean,
and that's what they do. They do claim pending question, and the question is, if it's listed for, like, let's say I just use 1,500, and they go claim pending question, and then they PM and go, would you do 1,400? That's not a legit claim. Like, that's not a question.
That's
like,
kind of what I was getting at.
Well,
yeah, like you can't do that.
I guess as a seller, what can you do?
It's twofold with some of these, because, for instance, there was a baggie sale that me and Chris was talking about recently, and I was like, what do you think about this baggie? Oh, it's nice, but I can't, the marking on this is whatever. Well, I want to say claim pending pictures because there's no picture of the back of the baggie. So how do I know what the back of the figure looks like? I want to claim it because it's a good price and it's a figure I want, but there's no other picture.
In some instances, we do have to use common sense because that listing has already been up for multiple hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can probably say claim pending pictures, more pictures, and it's not going to hold people up. But when something was just listed and within 3 minutes you're holding up a whole line of people,
well, roll the dice at that point.
Yeah.
And if it's been up for hours, then you shouldn't have to worry about someone jumping in on your claim.
I just like going with claim sales because it's my listing, it's my format, it's my rules, and I'm not saying that like in a way where like you need to listen to me. It's just that like I'm very OCD with everything that I do, and I'm very proper and I'm very orderly with everything. And if you're going to claim something, everyone knows, claim it on the page, claim it in publicly, claim it in site. I want everything to be known. I always leave the price shown. I always put the sales price because I want people to go back and use it as a reference if they ever want to look it up to say, hey, what does this item normally sell for? You know what? Let me type it in the search engine. You'll find it. I always leave the price up also.
So again, from the buyer's perspective, let's just say a couple of things here and then close out claim sale. Make sure you read the listing before you claim something. You're only going to see a portion of the listing on were you talking about Facebook? You're only going to see a portion of the listing until you hit that more button or that expand. There may be some other, stipulations or rules or info about the item that you should be aware of before you claim something. It might say under the fold or before you expand, it might say there's a tear on the flap on the left side. Meanwhile, you claim something, and then what? You're going to fight the seller over the fact that you didn't know there was a tear on the flap. So
That's on the buyer.
Yeah.
Right. So read the post before you claim something. And I understand you might get excited and you might want to be the first to claim something that was been up for 1 minute, but you're going to be locked in there. So be careful and understand too that generally speaking from the buyer, they're going to go by what Facebook shows them. And it's the same for a live sale too. You're going to go by who was first with a specific price. If there's two people bidding the same price in a live sale, you're going to go with who was first. Understand, it might look one way on your screen due to your internet connection. It's going to go by the seller, though. Whoever the seller is, whoever they see first claiming or bidding one price, they're generally going to go by what they see. So just
seller's timestamp. Seller's timestamp is what I go by. So,
and
so be understanding with that. It happened to me the other day, right, guys? I claimed something and I started getting excited, and John Walden claimed it 14 seconds before me. And so I'm happy for him.
He did.
If it was some guy I didn't know, I'd be pissed. But that actually happened. I was there. There was no other comments on the post. But sure enough, when I knew John claimed it, I refreshed it and boom, there was John before me.
It's because you're busy in the Bahamas.
There's also another large part of a claim sale that I don't want to get into because we've hit this topic already in a prior episode, but it has to be said because we're talking about claim sales. When people are doing a claim sale, it's not an opinions post. Keep it as a claim sale.
Gosh,
if you're interested in the item, claim it, whatever, PM, questions, whatever it is you want to do. But keep your comments about the price. Keep your comments. Oh, I have 6 of these. I had this. I got it. Bought this last year for this price. Here's an eBay listing. Nobody asked.
Whoa, these are going for that now? Maybe I should sell mine.
Yeah.
Is that a Unitoy with a Cater figure?
From the Rainbow Factory?
You want it or you don't.
And again, I know we touched this topic, but it needs to be said. People need to stop making their comments just to be heard. If you like the item, find out more about it. If you're not interested, move on.
Right. Don't make the post about you. It's not about you.
Right.
It's
so that goes into price bashing.
Well,
that's kind of going price bashing.
Absolutely. And it has to go down to a lot of the newer collectors, and they just don't have proper etiquette.
So the etiquette is what we just described, but beyond that, if you are an educated collector, if you feel there's something wrong with the item for sale or how it was represented, if you feel it was misrepresented, I'm not talking about price, I'm talking about, no, that's not the thing you're saying it is kind of feeling. The etiquette is to PM that person. If you're in a Facebook collector group with them, you should be able to reach out to them, no problem. Very likely, you might even know that person or know their name. Just reach out to them. And if there is a problem, they're going to hopefully thank you and correct it, or maybe remove the post and reassess. You might get somebody who's not happy that you reached out to them and telling them they're wrong, but don't do it on the post. Or if it's somebody you know that's bidding on it or claiming it and you feel there's something wrong, if it's somebody you know, then maybe reach out to the buyer and just say, hey, just so you know, ask about this because I'm not sure. But don't blow up the whole post is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Keep your comments to yourself. PM them if you're concerned about certain things. Don't derail the post. Don't derail the sale because 99 times out of 100, it's going to derail the sale.
And but the thing is, they think that they're being helpful, which they are for the most part, but they're casting seeds of doubt. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the knowledge of the seller or, the knowledge of what the seller has to offer. Like, even if it's just a mismatch, like if you have a Luke Jedi and you have a Taiwan blaster and then you have a Hong Kong saber, and you don't realize it. I mean,
John, how do you not realize that? So obvious.
It's so obvious.
How did you not know that the blaster was made on Wednesday, but the saber was made on a Tuesday? You didn't recognize that?
Yeah,
they shipped the Hong Kong stuff to Australia, and they made the toll toys.
Yes. But that does derail the sale, and it casts seeds of doubt in people's minds about the seller. I mean, it really does. So just please,
Preach, Reverend Walden. Preach.
If you have a comment like that, contact the seller by PM. Don't hijack the sale.
Okay. What else?
All
what
right,
else do
so
you got
let's move
the
on.
list here?
Yeah,
Well,
what's the next format?
We have the last format would be deal or no deal or make me an offer. It's kind of it's the exact same thing.
Well, let me pepper in real quick. There's also a live claim sale, which I don't think we need to say much on. I just wanted to recognize that as a format because it's a combination of a live sale and a claim sale. It's a post where there's all comments and claims and or bids in the comment section, and all the rules we already talked about apply.
So I've seen a few of these, a flash sale or a slow drip sale. And my biggest concern with those and etiquette wise is that if there's nothing stated in the post about offers, then you probably shouldn't be making an offer on certain items. So and so lists a Luke Skywalker Hoth, right? Luke Hoth. He puts $25 on it. It's a nice figure. It's complete, whatever. 3 minutes later, somebody comments, $20. I don't remember reading anything in the comments above, where it stated the rules of the auction that this was a or best offer, and people do that quite often. They'll just offer less than what is stated on there. And, and
it's like
I've
a
had
passive
a couple
aggressive thing, right?
I've had a couple sales like that where it's like,
I don't respond to them.
Like, hey, no, I'm going to let this sit for 24 hours before I even, take offers on anything. So that's one of the things that I've seen with these live claim sales that people start lowballing right from the beginning. And it's just like, hey, that unless it says make me an offer on here, like, I don't see that.
You either claim or you wait for the next item.
Yeah.
I almost want to claim
read
certain things
read the
at full
rules.
price just to rub it in people's faces.
Yeah. Again, read the rules because I have seen both. I have seen where even in a live claim where somebody did say they were willing to take offers.
Absolutely.
Or after a certain 24 hours they were willing, and you can always circle
full
back.
Claim prevails,
right. Full claim.
Unless an offer, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And another thing with those too is the seller needs to be sure to post in the rules where the person should claim. Right?
Correct.
Yes.
To the picture, to the listing, and
to the picture, to the listing, and sometimes even to which picture, because a lot of times the seller will put a post in the comments, and the comment will be the figure, and then there'll be 3 other replies that are also different angles of the figure.
Yeah.
Which one do I comment on? Which do I reply to the original comment, or do I reply to the final picture?
The seller just needs to be very specific and really have his rules laid out, like groundwork done before you're doing that.
And that's to cover for the seller to cover his own butt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And what Chris just said is a good recommendation to anybody who's going to be a newbie to either doing a sale or that format. If you haven't done it before, I've seen people kind of get torn a new one because they weren't clear, and the veteran buyers are getting angry.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, there's always going to be some aspect of that. But if you are new, what Chris said applies. Be crystal clear with your rules. Go look at other people's sales in the past. You can search them in the groups and see what their rules were and get some tips. And you'll have much less, controversy the day of. Yeah. All right, so let's move over to Deal or No Deal, or DOND or MMAO. Make me MMAO.
Yeah, it's MMAO.
I had to think about it for a second.
Offer.
Yeah, make me an offer.
Make me an offer.
Yeah.
So in those formats, you guys had to teach me, a year and a half ago, Deal or No Deal. I didn't know that at the time.
When it comes to this one is by far the most controversial. And the reason why is that most people hate that format, and if they see that there's a format being offered as that, they don't even bid on it. And I'm not a fan of them personally. I think there's good and I think there's bad to them. The reason why I think they're good is if you don't have a price or don't know a price to an item, it's always a great way to list your item if you're unsure of a price. If it's a very popular item, a very rare item, and it's good for that too, because, you know, technically you can get 2 or 3 people bidding against one another. And the reason why I don't like it personally, and 85% of my sales that I do are claim sales, you'll rarely see me do deal or no deal. There's too many variables in it that mess it up. Way too many, because people will change the rules while the auction is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will agree with you on a couple of points there, and also say to the people who are watching, Chris is really well educated on a very regular basis. He does his research on the value of vintage Star Wars collectibles, and he doesn't always know the price of a bifold wallet if you ask him, but he does know loose and graded and mocks and all that stuff. So a lot of times I'll talk about myself, but really you guys will probably agree. I go to Chris if I'm not sure of a price on something, even when I'm buying something. I'm not even talking about selling in terms of making money. I'm talking about, hey, what, you know, is this a good price, or am I, you know, would I be paying too much, or is this a good deal? He educates himself. He does the research on a regular basis as prices change. We don't all always, as collectors, do that. I mean, we're not all as educated as Chris is. So DOND, deal or no deal, if you're selling something, is a good format if you're not sure what to list it at. You don't want to be scolded for being too high, or be laughed at because you're losing money or selling something so cheap. So it is a good format for that reason. But I have a couple recommendations for sellers too, guys.
I do too.
First thing, and you know, as a buyer, this isn't the greatest thing, but I'll tell a tip as a seller for sellers. The rules in those groups where they allowed the deal or no deal format, generally you have to respond in like 12 hours or 24 hours, something like that. So when you get a bid, 24 hours is really a long time. That's pushing it.
Yeah.
But if you can respond in somewhere between, 4 hours, 6-8 hours, I mean, that's still lengthy, but it's reasonable. If somebody bids on something and somebody else is bidding, like, you kind of have a little bit of a bidding war, or there's a couple of people that seem interested. The people that go and say deal right away, 3 minutes after somebody made a bid, you're kind of cutting yourself off. Like you're having an auction, so to speak, and you're banging the gavel while there's people going, want to bid. You don't have to say deal 3 minutes after that. You could give it a little bit of breathing room and see if that other person might come back and be interested in bid again.
So this ties into some etiquette issues of like you said, the people that are well, I was gonna offer you this much, but you already sold it.
I hate that.
Like, really, man, like those comments are necessary.
You're technically supposed to put your best offer out first.
Yeah, so that's what you're accepting, whatever. Like, I would have given you more, whatever. Well, then put it out there.
Well, yeah, I know but everybody wants to get a deal, so they're going to lowball. Everybody lowballs the first price.
Yep.
But if it's something you really want, put your thing out there and show everybody that you want it. Put your bid out there and be like, I want this. Okay. Put it out there.
But I'll say something to that, Brandon, though, because the same thing I just said about selling because you don't know the price, the same thing happens to me when I'm interested in something and it's something wacky, like some Japanese version of something that I'm not familiar with. I don't know what it's worth, and I might ask you guys, privately, but I'll throw the next highest bid out there. I'll raise it, 5%, 10%, whatever. And then when I find out somebody else comes over me with another $50, I'm like, oh, well, then that person thinks it's worth more. I really do want it. Well, I'll outbid that person out. It must be worth that much. So it kind of goes both ways a little bit, but don't have the sour grapes.
No.
You can have it in your head. Like when I see somebody slam that gavel quickly, I'm like, son of a gun. Like I would have bid again, but I don't go and bid again though after it's done.
My biggest issue with the whole thing is that, this is getting a little bit away from etiquette, but I just can't stand if it's something I really want. I don't have all day to sit there and watch people keep bidding on certain things. So when it
What
does
else are you
sell,
really
it kind of
doing?
pisses me off.
What else are you really doing now?
I don't want to get into it now, but stuff sells, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, damn it, because you know, and they're like, deal, and you're like, oh, like I missed out on it because I wasn't available in that hour that it sold. So, I mean, that's my own pet peeve with the whole deal and no deal thing. But the biggest issue I see is people commenting after, because it's easy for me to comment after and be like, oh, well, I would have offered you this much, you know, like, how can you sell it for so cheap and all this kind of stuff, you know? And
well, in those groups, you are not allowed to erase comments. Okay. Just like you're not allowed to erase sale posts in most of those groups, you're not allowed to erase comments. So if Brandon puts up an item and I bid $100 on it, my bid of $100 is binding.
Stands. Yeah, it's binding.
It stands for however long the rules of that group are, not the rules of his post. There's bigger rules of the group of how long a bid has to be responded to. So let's say it's 12 hours. My bid is binding for 12 hours. If Brandon accepts my bid after 3 minutes, now God bless him if that's what he wanted, $100, and he's ready to close down and ship out. I get that a little bit, but he just took my bid in 3 minutes. Meanwhile, there was an 11 hours and 57 minutes that somebody else could have bid. Now, I appreciate him not waiting that whole 12 hours, but he could have waited an hour, 2 hours. People are at work. People are with their kids. And maybe he would have gotten $200, you know? So I'm just saying just keep that in mind as a seller, that's your ability.
I'm going to tell you the reason why, like I said, I don't like it. Remember I said before, there's too many variables that make me not like it. Some of the variables that I don't like about it, it really just grinds my gears, is when a seller will list it and he doesn't respond at all to any of the offers. So like Brandon said, you don't want to sit there all day just making offers. You're literally bidding against you're bidding against yourself. You're bidding against one of the guy while the guy has not responded at all. Yeah. I hate that. Number two, I hate when a guy lists a deal, no deal and says, I'm going to bed now. I'll check back in later. Are you serious? If you don't have time to do this listing, don't list it. Don't say I'm going to check back in when I wake up. Are you crazy? Sorry.
I've done that before, actually.
Yeah, crazy.
This show's about etiquette, Chris. Is not about your personal anger management issues.
No,
with dealing.
I do get that a little bit. Let's say you have an item that should be $800. You're at $350. You're not going to take it. There seems to be a couple of people bidding. Maybe it's at 600. You're getting closer. You're like, hey guys, I'm going to check in.
No. What you're saying is different than what I'm saying. You're saying that the listing and that the post is already going on for some time. I'm talking about a guy who lists it and within 5 minutes literally says, I'm going to bed. I'll check back in 6 to 8 hours later. So in my head, I'm like, well, why are you listing it if you're going to bed right now? List it tomorrow morning when you wake up.
So are you talking about people who list items at 1 o'clock in the morning?
I knew it.
Well,
Brandon, I'll hand it to you.
Well, no. Because in John's case, it was a claim sale. Okay, it wasn't a deal, no deal. He was.
It's like this is a claim sale. First, the claim gets it. I'm going.
It's completely different. I've literally seen a guy list a mock that I wanted, and in the description it wrote, "I'm going to bed now. I'll check back in 8 hours." And in my head, I'm like, well, why don't you just wait? Why don't you wait 8 hours until you wake up? Why would you list it right now? I can understand if it went through the whole day and it's been 12 hours, 20 hours, and you're like, all right, completely acceptable. But when you list it and say, I'm going to bed, crazy. Sorry. Done. John,
I've done it. I've done it because,
the
rules of the groups usually are, you have to respond. The seller has to respond within 12 hours. If I sleep for 8 hours, I'm not going to be responding.
But why are you listing it before you're going to bed? Wait until you wake up.
He used to only list 2 times a day.
To give the Australians a chance to jump in.
That's crazy.
The New Zealanders. He would only list 2 times a day. One, while he was in homeroom and he was on his computer. And 2, right before he's going to bed. Those are the only times.
And I'm going to tell you another reason why I don't like deal, no deal, and why I don't like using it, okay? Because I'm just not a fan of it. I'll list an item, and within 5 minutes, I'll have... honestly, 5 PMs. How much you want? It's deal or no deal.
Yep.
Part of the rules is you're not supposed to PM that person and ask them what they want.
Yeah.
Do people actually listen? No, they never do. But I'm sitting there getting PM saying how much you want, how much you look. Yeah, what do you got to have? And in my head, I'm just like,
I don't know how much you got.
I'm like, I just listed it. Like, what do you say to that? I don't even know what to say. Honestly, I'm actually asking you guys, what do you say?
How much you got? How much you want? Well, how much you got?
The sad thing is the person that's writing you probably doesn't have that much. Well, you wonder why John Walden is posting things in the middle of the night. It's 11:47 p.m. East Coast time right now. So you're watching us on a Sunday at dinner time, maybe. It's really midnight while we're recording this. This guy's over here pounding Red Bulls. At midnight.
The product, we can't really say the product, but it's a
Chris,
silver and blue can.
Let's throw it over to Chris. Chris, commentary?
Crazy.
Brandon is on his 4th Japanese whiskey on the rocks, and John Walden is just getting going. He's amping up for I don't know what.
Like I said,
stuff to pack, and I got this new venture that I'm working on. So
you want to do a claim sale before you go to bed? 100%. I'm all for it.
Red Bull.
If you want to do a deal, no deal, and go to bed 4 seconds after you posted it? Crazy.
Nope.
Crazy.
John looks like he's in a stock room, and the stock is running a bit low.
All right. So our listeners.
Oh, there we go.
That's only part.
For those of you who are watching right now, please comment below and please tell us what you think. For etiquette, and if you got any talking points that you want to discuss, any things that you've seen personally that tick you off, or you always wonder why things are done a certain way. If you're brand new to the hobby and have questions, please reach out to us. If you're not brand new to the hobby, you want to add your comments in and your distaste for putting a deal or no deal up and going to bed, or if you're the one that puts a deal or no deal up and goes to bed and sleeps soundly as you're making money, we want to hear about that too.
Cha-ching.
So, and if you're in Australia or New Zealand and you appreciate the late night, claim sales, we also want to hear about that.
Build a box with John Walden.
That's right.
I was just going to say about the comments, John. We do appreciate the positive comments, the accolades. We do seriously
appreciate the negative ones as well.
Well, listen,
we do love.
If Juan Carlos wants to chime in here and talk about why Charles is sleeping right now at home, readily available to be on with us, but he chose to take a nap. Please do comment, but. We really do want to hear the questions. We will converse with you in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts and also things that we missed in the episode that you've noticed in sales, like Brandon said.
Correct.
John,
we always miss something.
Before we get off, I think we need to start wrapping this up. But we've been on this topic for a bit. But one other aspect of claim sales and any kind of sales, claim sales, live sales, auction sales, everything. I think we need to address payment. Real quick, just briefly, maybe. What do you think? Like,
I usually pay within 144 hours.
144 hours, yeah. The seller should definitely post what time frame he's looking to get paid and how.
Yeah. Well, proper etiquette is if you can't meet those timelines, then PM them ahead of time.
Yeah, and if you're planning to pay goods and services, you should also let that seller know that I'm paying goods and services, and I'm willing to add the 4% as per your rules,
or whatever the rules are,
or whatever the rules are. If be sure, and then that's your loss again. If you've said, I always say, PayPal friends and family for goods and services, please add 4%. And I think we've all been bitten by that.
There's a little bit of etiquette there too, John. Just 2 seconds. 4% seems to have become the standard, and that's what we all use in Rogue 5 Toys.
3% now. No, we don't. We use 3% now.
Do we do? Okay, yes. I haven't listed anything.
As of July 29th, it changed.
Shane upped it to 5%.
Yeah.
No. I was gonna. No, that's what I was gonna say.
I did. I put 4%, but nobody pays. Nobody pays goods and services unless they don't tell me they're paying goods and services.
we actually we had this talk in the Vintage Alliance, which is another group that I'm an admin in, and we all changed it to 3%. Most of the sellers that sell on there, because as of July 29th, PayPal stopped that extra 39-cent fee, so it's just 2.9 now. It's not 2.9 plus 39 cents. It's just 2.9. So. To make things fair, I just
very quick. There are other fees though. If it's overseas, some people have weird accounts with whatever. So keep that in mind.
And there's also there's a fee if it's overseas. There's also another fee depending on what currency you pay in. There's actually kind of a separate fee for that, so you can get double banged with some fees you weren't thinking of. Simmer
that's
down there,
not
whiskey, Japanese whiskey.
Again, that's not your problem. That's the buyer's problem.
It's not your problem if you get double banged.
You need to receive the amount of money that it was claimed for and bought for, and whether it's $1, $5, $10 short, you PM that person back and say, "Hey, I don't care if you got double feed. I don't care if there's a fee from this, and this. You owe $7. It is what it is."
Yeah. So. I was going to say kind of what Brandon joked about. In some of the groups, we've seen people post with some wild PayPal fees, goods and services. We saw 10% at one point.
I saw 10%. I've seen
add 10%.
Yeah, I've seen 7. I've seen such ridiculous things. It's hysterical. I love it.
All right. Well, I think we've beaten this dead horse.
Yes, we have.
Who's going to close this out?
Shane.
Don't get double
banged.
Don't get double banged. Shane's. Don't look down on me, Shane. I don't like it when you look down on me. I don't like it.
Right,
I don't like when you look down on me.
Well, my point was for buyers, read the posts again and watch out for those fees. The person, it's up to them, the seller, to put the whatever fees they want in there. But we've seen some weird ones, so just watch and see what you're agreeing to.
Yeah.
Guys, a fun episode. I'm glad to be back with you guys. It is fun chatting about Star Wars and toy collecting that we love. It's fun just talking about all the interactions that go on around the hobby, which is what this episode was about. The buying and the selling and the interaction between fellow collectors, collector sellers, and just going about the business of collecting in the hobby that you like. In a way that you're not having any animosity, that you're working well with people, you're making things easy, you're going by the rules of the book, just to kind of make it the hobby as fun as it should be. So again, glad to be back with you guys. It would have been nice to see Charles, but he is where is Charles right now?
Charles,
the greatest.
Yeah, Charles is laying in a hammock in his backyard sleeping.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So
all right. Well, Juan Carlos is going to have a field day with that. All right, guys. We're going to remind everybody to please check us out at rogue5toys.com. Collect with us. That's our collector page there, our sales page. You can also find all of our links, all of our socials, our merch shop. Please go and buy a t-shirt and support the show. You can find that at 5idiotstalkingtoys.com. You can find our Sunday night episodes every week here on YouTube if you're watching us, and also on your favorite podcast app if you're just listening right now. But also, we have content that comes out all week long on YouTube. We have our Wednesday wins and whiffs of the week, which used to be part of our regular episode. We've broken that out so that we can talk a little bit more on topic like this. So check that out just on YouTube, as well as all of our other content that comes out throughout the week. Guys, a fun one. I will see you next Wednesday for our next WWW. And hopefully Charles falls out of the hammock between now and then and he can roll into the studio.
Follow us on other social media, Instagram, Twitter.
Brandon really wants you to follow on Twitter. That's his domain now.
Yeah, that's Brandon's his one job is Twitter.
He quit as secretary and now he's the Twitter girl.
Twitter god.
I'm still the secretary, believe me.
Oh, all right. That's good to know.
Well,
all right, folks. Thanks for watching. We will see you next Wednesday and next Sunday on 5 Idiots Talking Toys. Peace out.
Later, guys. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.